My first trip into the great swamp in search of the pygmy tribes had been fruitless, but I rounded up a new group of porters and prepared to start out again. This time I insisted on striking toward the heart of the swamp. All my boys objected, but in the end they obeyed me. I know now only their sense of loyalty kept them from deserting me, for I led them directly into a dry swamp. Compared with all the monstrosities of which Africa is guilty, nothing even approaches the horror of a dry swamp. There was no place to pitch a tent or build a fire, so for 2 days we ate cold food, and for 2 nights we kept on our feet. Finally, my headman sat down in front of me and explained that we were without food and weapons and in unknown, forbidding territory. Then he began to sway and dance crazily. The rest of that day and most of the following night were a prolonged nightmare. I was conscious only of being shaken and rolled about. Days later, when I was resting in my own bed, my porters told me what had happened. One of them said, "The hours passed and you fell silent, too silent. You did not ask questions or tell us what we should do. Then you chattered like an angry monkey in the treetops," another put in. "We knew that the spirits of the great Mother Forest were calling to you, and we thought we should break open your skull and set your spirit free." Then the jungle on one side of us parted, and a band of the little men slipped into our midst, my headman went on. "They spread a net on the ground and laid you on it beside a long pole. They wound the net around both you and the pole and carried you home." So I had found the pygmies, or rather they had found me, and still I had not enjoyed a glimpse of them. Should I go back into the forest after them again and make an even bigger fool of myself? The problem was solved the first day I sat outside in the sun. 8 pygmies, none of them over 4.5 feet tall, and all staggering under the biggest elephant tusk I had ever seen, came down the path, mounted the steps, and laid the ivory at my feet. I grinned, and they jabbered. The translator explained to me that ivory is the most precious possession of the pygmies. They never sell it, and any individual to whom they give a tusk has won brothership with every member of the tribe. They use ivory for purchasing wives, and though my skin was ashen and my habits strange beyond belief, the chief was desirous of adding me to his harem. The pygmies had watched every step of my excursions into the jungle. They reasoned that such a woman would mother children who would face triumphantly that moist green hell in which they make their home. My boy replied in long phrases and elegant gestures. The pygmies grinned again and trotted out of sight. "What did you say to them?" I asked. "I told them that white women are not like our females. They do not marry and bear children. I said everything they have comes out of tin cans, and that this is undoubtedly the case with their young." "Oh, why, that's not so," I burst out. "We do marry and bear children." "I have never seen a white woman who had a husband or children," he answered simply, "or a white man who had a white wife." It was true. I was the only white woman he had ever seen, and the only white men were a handful of itinerant traders. How could I explain? "But the pygmies left their ivory behind them," I finally stammered. "It is a tribute to a woman they think should be a chieftain's wife," my boy explained. "It is a pledge of their friendship." My pygmy suitor never pressed his hand upon me again, but I have often wondered what he looked like. I've wondered, too, whether it would be humanly possible for a white woman to adjust herself to such an existence, the life these little men enjoy in their land of perpetual twilight.